Hi guys, welcome back to episode 6 of We Evolve.
And today we are going to be talking about productivity guilt. So, to give a definition of what it is, according to the University of Alberta, an article was written, and here's exactly what it says. It's the title I have given to that icky, anxious, ashamed feeling I know so many of us will have experienced when we dare to do something other than schoolwork in our free time. And so it essentially goes on to say that even if you do have some form of free time, there's always a deadline or a goal that is hanging over your head. And when you're spending time outside of class, between life and schoolwork, then you become overwhelmed by this feeling of productivity guilt because you have that impending deadline that's coming up sometime in the future and you just want to get a head start on it so you don't feel overwhelmed in the future, even though it's counterproductive because you're already feeling overwhelmed now. So, in the effort of saving yourself from later stress, you're actually giving yourself more stress. So, that's the whole idea of productivity guilt. And honestly, for me, it feels as though I'm letting someone down. If I have any moment of free time, I have that feeling where it's like I could be doing this, I could be doing that. There's all these goals that I need to accomplish. I'm not doing any of them. My parents sent me to be here to accomplish all my goals, and I'm sitting over here scrolling through Instagram. Like, what kind of a person am I? Or think about my future partner, my future kids, my future self. I'm letting all these people down by not being productive today, right now, at this moment. And having that feeling constantly play over and over and over again in your head, again, it just makes you walk around with this guilt. So, have you guys experienced this?
Yeah, like every day.
Yeah.
Like even when I'm doing stuff, I'm also like I'm not like I feel like I'm not putting in my entire effort and I could be doing it faster or like I could just doing it basically just doing it faster so I could be doing something else. So I like
Mhm.
it's hard to draw a line where this is like considered good and it like motivates you
Mhm.
and then where it's just like harming you.
Yeah, I agree. It's like you have t the time, like it's like you can do a whole test and come back home, but it's like you don't have time to rest. Like there's no point. You have to get started on the next work. Like I don't feel like satisfied, I guess, with my free time, and
Exactly.
I have to like preoccupy.
Yeah. Even when sometimes I'm just like eating and so when I eat, I have this like addiction. I have to watch TV when I'm eating. So I'm
It's a
like,
bold use of addiction.
um, so I'm watching TV, right? And usually I'll set out like an hour for eating so I can like watch TV and eat. And then obviously I'm not eating for an hour. I'm like, after I'm done eating, I'm still watching TV for an hour. Even though I eat in like 15 minutes, I cannot get myself to watch till like 45 minutes because
Hmm.
I'm like, I'm done eating, I have to move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Like that was my break.
Yeah.
And like it's just like I don't explain it. Like sometimes it gets harder than the actual thing that you're doing. So if I had say like 5 things to do, then and they're like hard, but they're not like too hard. The amount of stress I give myself over those 5 things is harder than the work,
Hmm.
if that makes sense.
Got you. So, well, why do you feel this guilt? Because there's always something else that you could be doing, so you might as well get this done.
Yeah. Basically, yeah.
I just feel like I need to be on top of my work and like, okay, even if I finish like my to-do tasks for the day, like I'm like, okay,
What's
like
next?
yeah, what's next? Like now I have to study for the test next week. Like I have to be on
Yeah.
prepared, I guess. But
Yeah.
like, do you
I'm a very I need to have a set list of things. Like I need to have a set schedule every single day.
A
mm-hmm.
to-do list.
Yeah.
Yeah, not just a to-do list. Like I need to plan
Like
my
that Google
day out.
Calendar is like
Yeah,
stacked
exactly. I need to
back to
plan
back.
my day out and I get so annoyed when I have to do something that's not in my plan, that I didn't
Mm.
plan. So then it's just like, well, when I plan my day out, I plan it in like weeks in advance, which
Mhm.
obviously you don't know what's even gonna happen tomorrow. Like,
Right.
how can you plan a week's in advance? So pretend like an easy example is like chem tests. You have to cover so much content for your chem test. And a lot of people, like I know Shivani is someone that like studies late, a little bit late. But I I don't understand stuff when I
Yeah,
cram.
you gonna take that?
Nah, I'm taking it, bro.
So I can't cram. Like chem is like the one class that I cannot cram for. So I literally sit there, divide the amount of lectures I need to listen to by the amount of days that I have. And then I do every day. But it's like if you skip one day, I feel like I didn't do anything all day and it was a waste of a
Yeah.
day. And it's just like, okay, I just didn't do one assignment, but I can't get over that.
Yeah.
Like this past weekend, I went to a wedding and I obviously didn't work during this past weekend. And now I'm just like, I'm so stressed. There's so much work, but I don't actually have that much work. But it just like, I didn't do anything. So now I feel like I have to overcompensate
Yeah.
for what I
So
didn't do.
by scheduling out, you are taking an effort to show initiative and be organized with your life. But the con of that is you're overwhelming yourself and you're limiting how flexible you're able to be.
Right.
For example, let's just say you're on a bus and you're waiting for the bus. Bus comes late. And then you're sitting on the bus, there's traffic, it's raining, you're sitting on that bus for half an hour. Do you get off that bus feeling fine with yourself and that's just how the day went? Or do you get off that bus feeling like I just wasted 30
Yeah.
plus
Wasted 30
minutes,
minutes, yeah.
It's
Like,
not,
even though that was out of your control?
it's like, what did you do on the bus? Like, just sat there on your phone. And it's like, you could have been doing so much. You could have been like,
just give me the buses that go around campus.
it's just like, okay, maybe if I walked, I would have been home earlier. I could have studied earlier. I could have ate in that time and started my workout.
I could have.
Literally, like for me, I plan out my day. Like when I mean plan, there's a plan from the minute I wake up to the minute I go to
Oh,
bed.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So sometimes like I'll so I try to sleep by like 10:30 so I can wake up at 6. So sometimes I'll be having like
6 a.m.
yeah,
Oh my God.
because I feel like I work better in the morning. But sometimes I come home and my roommate is like super sad or like going through stuff and I have to sit and talk to her, which is like that sounds so mean.
I know
But
exactly what you're doing.
but there's no time I schedule for
lack
this.
empathy.
Like I didn't I
You're
didn't schedule
that's
this in
great.
my
Can we pencil that in 10 minutes?
yeah,
Like, let me
I gotta
finish
be
like
this
somewhere.
assignment.
even when I'm trying to hang out, like even this podcast is in my calendar, like 3 to 5, it's
Yeah.
blocked. So it's just like, okay, like
Well,
if
that's
I
just good scheduling.
yeah, but
Appreciate you for
if I
that.
have to if I have to hang out with Shivani or something and
I switched the
she
time.
tells me today that she wants to hang out tomorrow, I check my calendar and I add it to my calendar.
Oh, you put hangouts on your calendar?
Yes,
Oh,
because
I
like
don't do
I do
that's like
that.
time aside that I need to put aside,
Mhm.
and then I have to like schedule my work around that, right?
Yeah.
It's like you
So
can
no,
hang out with me as long as you RSVP me 2 weeks in advance.
yeah, exactly. And so sometimes like obviously some things are not like you can't plan some stuff. You can't plan a lot of stuff. So sometimes the roommates want to talk to me and stuff, and now it's like getting past 10:30. It's 11
They're not
now.
that
It's going into
serious.
11:30, and I was like, I literally wasted 2 hours when I could be sleeping so I could wake up tomorrow.
See, that's a con of productivity guilt is that it reframes your mind where normal things that happen in life or normal interactions make you feel as though you just wasted time
Hmm.
because you were not being productive. By you simply living and not being productive, you are a failure of a human being.
Exactly.
That is not true. Not exactly.
Yeah, I mean, like that's exactly how I feel.
Exactly. Write that down. But this is another off-topic-ish question, which is when let's just say you happen to fail something because you missed one assignment or you think it's because you missed one assignment or you missed a deadline because you just forgot to schedule that one thing. Do you play a montage in your head of all the
Yes.
times that you were laughing and
Yes.
having fun? You're like, I'm a
Yes.
piece of crap.
But also,
I'm a
Yes.
if
lazy,
you were to
horrible person.
fail the assignment, it's like all that time was like I could have done like more efficient or like I wasted all that time. If I failed it, like I have to start earlier and harder and like I could have done this assignment. It's just a lot. Like you solve thing a lot. Overthink.
Mistakes are for everyone else,
Yeah.
not for me.
Yeah.
That's not the case though. I
Um,
say this knowing full and well that I do the same
Like,
thing.
yeah.
so for real.
No, I definitely do.
It's okay for me to give you the advice.
Oh
You just
yeah,
have
yeah,
to
yeah.
take it.
Oh yeah.
But no, I do exactly feel like I feel like that, like how you just explained it. If I did bad on something, I literally and I what's worse is like I feel sometimes like I'm worse than my parents. Like
Mm.
my parents wouldn't even be saying this stuff or like thinking this stuff, but I'll be thinking like if I went to hang out with Shivani the day before and then my grade came back, I'll be like, that's why I failed it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't do anything during that
But
time.
it has no correlation, you
Yeah.
know?
And then I think back like, okay, that's just one assignment that I failed, right? And I'm just like, this is why I'm doing so bad in school because I'm hanging out with people. But it's just like, okay, even though I have A's in every single class,
Yeah.
and even in that class, if I have an A, if I still fail, I'm like, I'm a failure. Like I'm failing my class.
I'm a garbage human being, and I'm gonna get my scholarship taken away.
Yeah,
And I'm gonna be living on the streets.
I'm like, I'm such a bad student. Like I'm just going around hanging out with my roommates, like talking about why they broke up with blah 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 instead of studying for the tests I have.
Yeah.
But like huh?
You're very hard on yourself.
Yeah. But I do also think in a way it's like good because it makes you never stop learning or it never makes you be free in a
Are
way.
you never tired of that though? Like, aren't you like at a like I'll tell you like this week has been the worst week
Same.
for me.
Same.
Like I have been crying every day. Like it's
But
Like that makes you feel good though, because it's
what
like
crying?
no, because
No,
it's
but
like
think about this, like would you rather have productivity guilt or not even have
No,
anything?
I'd rather have it because I feel like it pushes me to work harder.
That's what I'm
because
saying. That's what I'm saying is the
but
pro.
we normalize it so much where it's like that's what you want. Like I if I wake up in the morning feeling good about myself and feeling like I can accomplish tasks, then am I even being productive enough? Like I
Yeah.
need to go to class feeling like I got ran over by a bus, and that's when I know I'm doing enough.
No, you're
I
right.
will say that I'm a little bit different. Like I do like I don't wake up thinking that. I wake up thinking, oh, I do. There are definitely times when I'm thinking, oh, I do a lot of stuff. Like I appreciate how much stuff I'm doing. I'm proud of myself, but still I'm still like I could do more.
Yeah.
But I still am acknowledge the stuff that I am doing. And I'm just like I'm still proud of myself for doing that. I'm still proud of myself for keeping myself busy. Like I still take a second to do that. But I think do you remember in a few episodes before this, I was talking about journaling? I think that really helped with this.
Okay.
Because
That's good.
Let's
when
just
you
see.
put it onto
Yeah.
paper, you're like, oh, like I actually do stuff. Like
It's just like I don't have time for like it's just like so like this week has like been so awful. It's just like so stressful. It's like I want a break, but even if I were to take the break, I can't take the break. Like it's like I
yeah.
just don't have time. Like I need a
Because even in high school, I was doing like a lot. We were all doing a lot of stuff, but in the moment, it doesn't feel like you're doing anything. But I remember when I was writing my college apps, I was like, oh, like I actually do a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
which is like
Yeah.
that's what
Gives you
journaling helped with, I
period
think.
of reflection.
So
Exactly.
do you recommend it?
I recommend journaling for any like even if this is not an issue for you, you should do it because I don't think journaling can ever harm you. It
Yeah.
can only help you or do nothing, but for most people it helps. But I just think it's good because one, it gives you time to think about things, and then two, the biggest thing I think is that um when you journal, it gives you a second to be like, should I even be thinking this? Like, am I wasting time thinking about this thought that doesn't really matter?
Yeah. So for productivity guilt, how long have you been experiencing this and where do you think it comes from for you? Like, why do you think you have it in the first place?
I think being compared. I always like not like my parents comparing like nothing like that. It's like I'm comparing myself with others. I'm like they're doing all that. Why am I not doing like even like a portion of it?
Uh, I think I was like, no, I was gonna say but I didn't know if I finished talking. But I actually don't know when it started. I fully believe I was like born like this.
Call me Lady
But,
Gaga. I was born this way.
um,
Oh,
sorry guys.
clock it.
Add it to my calendar. Um, what was I gonna say?
You were talking about how you don't know when this was
Yeah.
starting.
But I will say one thing is I know why I'm like this is one, like Shmai said, like the comparing stuff. Let's be honest, like we're brown. Our parents probably compared us to people. One. Two, it's also the fact that you guys are like that, and then it makes me like that too. Because it's like
Other people
Yes.
if they, yeah,
push
if
you to
they're
be work harder, I
But I
guess.
think majority of productivity guilt comes from comparing people because how are you going to know that you aren't doing something unless you see someone
Yeah.
doing something different?
Everybody
LinkedIn
else
is the
around
worst
you is the
place. Yeah,
standard.
Exactly. So it's like growing up, I see all my friends are comparing themselves to someone else or comparing themselves to me, and then I'm just like, oh, and then it kind of gets in your head. It's like a learned behavior. And then you're like, oh, I have to compare myself to this person or this person. But it's also sometimes I compare myself to like unachievable
Yeah.
people, like, or just people that,
Necessarily unachievable. Like they're at a completely
yeah,
different point in their life.
exactly. And it's just, I don't know why I do that, but I do.
So
yeah, sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, we like to compare, and that's what stems it. And you can't compare your distance to someone that is carrying less weight than you.
Yes.
Keeping that in mind. Oh, what were you gonna say?
No. I was just no, nothing.
Nothing.
No, I thought you were gonna.
No, but essentially, I would think that it would be even harder. Two things. One, I say this quote all the time, and I'm gonna say it again. By Steve Harvey, it's show me your friends and I'll show you your future. So when you're constantly surrounded by people that harp on productivity, then it's gonna become one of your values.
You're so
And
right. You're
on,
so right.
on top of that, all of us are
So,
pre-meds.
yeah.
We're all like put into this competitive nature. We're not trying to be competitive. It's just it has to be because we're all applying for the same goal. So when you're surrounded by other people that are going for the same goal as you, surrounded by other people that have similar work ethic, what's going to happen to you?
You strive to work as hard as them and
Or
just like
harder, yeah.
harder, yeah.
So on
One
that note, but what were you
one
gonna
more
say?
thing I was gonna say about comparing people. I
Yeah.
don't know if you guys do this, but just like we compare ourselves to someone that's better than us and are trying to strive to be like them and are hard on ourselves for that. I have never compared myself to someone. I've never compared myself to someone that's doing less than me and
Okay,
felt
yeah.
proud of myself.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
It's always someone that is doing more than you.
You're not like being like, oh, but they're not doing anything. So,
No,
but
not
like,
like that. More like, oh wait, look at this person. I feel like I am doing a lot. That never happens.
Because you know what? I feel like going back to the whole brown parents thing, where I've heard this before, maybe y'all have heard it before, where they'll be like, "Oh, your cousin Navia did X, Y, and Z. Why can't you do that? Aren't you
Hmm.
doing that? Why haven't I heard about this?" But then you'll come back with a test score being like, "Oh, I got an 80," and then they'll be like, "What the hell? Like, why?
like, I got the
What?
highest grade in
No,
the
but I
class.
got the highest grade in the class." And they're like, "Don't
Doesn't
compare
matter.
yourself to them.
Yeah, yeah. Or
Why would you do that?"
or they're never saying, "Oh, your cousin
Your cousin did something bad. I'm
but you're
proud of
doing this."
you.
Yeah. They never do that. So I think that we
It's more
also
like,
never do
don't be
that.
like that.
Yeah. We also never do anything
So
like that
no.
because I never look at someone. I never even compare myself to someone that's doing less than me.
Yeah.
Like I don't even it doesn't even go through my head.
Doesn't register.
It's just those who are doing above and beyond. You're like, I need to do that. I need
Because
to go above and beyond too.
you got to keep your eye on the prize.
Yeah.
And if other people have already gotten the prize, you're going to keep your eye on them.
Yeah.
But on that note, surrounded by people that are on your level or higher, one of the causes of productivity guilt, especially in America, is hustle culture. So there's a book titled Self at Work, and it's by Russell E. Johnson, Lance Ferris, and I feel like I'm going to butcher this name. I apologize. Constantine S. So all respect to that author. Don't know how to pronounce your name. I apologize. So in the book titled Self at Work in chapter 8, it's titled The Role of Guilt in the Workplace. So essentially how in the workplace it's like we're a work family, but like a family they can take advantage of you rather than like being there for you because not all families are functioning. So when they say we're like a work family, it can have a dual meaning. So when you have guilt for not being enough, going back to what I first said, where it's like I feel productivity guilt for a family that I have and a family that doesn't exist yet. So their main points were one, The experience of guilt often has more to do with the person than the situation, which is where journaling can come into play.
Mhm.
2, guilt can be channeled into productive work to the extent that the global negative self-evaluation is minimized. What that means is, same thing that we were talking about with your standard and who you surround yourself with globally. If this is the standard and you're doing better than that, you're going to feel great about yourself. If you are doing the same as everyone else, then you're going to feel average. That is going to determine how guilty you feel when you are trying to or not to be productive. And 3, heterogeneity in standards of worthy behavior can make it difficult to predict toward whom or about what people feel guilty. So, what that means essentially is if you grow up in a family that prioritizes work over everything else, then you are going to come at it with that mindset. And if you grow up in a family that prioritizes your own well being, spirituality, health, then that's what you are going to further prioritize and then lead on to be your values and to your next family. But you can't generalize a whole society like that because of that heterogeneity. Everybody's different and it comes from a different place. That's the melting pot of America. And that also is what feeds into the hustle culture because everybody comes here for a reason, the American dream. So now everybody's got to work as soon as you step foot on this land to reach that goal.
I would say I agree with your last point. I think that you were talking about how people that prioritize like work, their family prioritizes work or productivity in general over your mental well-being and stuff. Like something my dad always says is when I so this kind of came up when I was talking about modeling with him. He was he's someone that always says do it when you have the chance because in the future that chance might not be there.
Mm.
Right? So then he's like if you can work now instead of take a vacation, then work now
Yeah.
because you don't know if this opportunity will come back later. But that's like great for, work, getting paid and stuff. But it comes down to the point where you're too productive sometimes. And it could be like bad for you.
That applies for big picture stuff, but when you're looking at it from a very minuscule perspective, where it's like seize your moment because you don't know when your moment's gonna pass,
Hmm.
that might not apply when you're writing something for a book, when you are studying for a test, because hopefully there will be a tomorrow. If you are at a point where you are so sleep deprived and you didn't eat anything today and you have a meeting coming up and you know that your team is lenient and they don't mind being rescheduled for you to take care of yourself, you're like, no, but this opportunity might not come again. I have to do it now. I have to say what I have to say. That's a moment where you need to sit back, reflect, and be like, okay, let me take care of myself.
Yeah, because sometimes like I said earlier, I'm a Google Calendar girl. But when I look at my calendar and I have literally like an hour of break,
Yeah.
I'm like, something needs to go there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something needs to fill that hour, or I feel like I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
But then it's like if you look at my entire day, I'm doing so much in the entire day that that is probably gonna be the one thing that pushes me over the edge.
I'm actually gonna go deeper into that,
Because
but continue.
you don't like I think that yes, like seizing your moment and everything, like that's great when you take it at this like surface level thing. But I think that we take that and are in this like toxic mindset, and then we try to comfort ourselves by saying that.
Well, essentially, I think the reason why we feel that way is because we don't look at rest as though it's productive.
Right.
Because you need you need building blocks and a foundation to have a tall building. You can't just keep thinking about the top. You have to build a bottom first. You can't keep thinking about all the stuff that you are going to accomplish today without taking a moment to sleep, eat, take a shower, do your skincare routine, do your exercises, whatever you need to do. And if you don't view that as productive, then you're not going to do it. And if you don't do that, then all the other things that you actually view as productive is not going to get done,
Yeah.
or at least you're going to burn out essentially.
Another like
Yeah.
simple example of that is like literally, like you said, rest days, like when I go to the gym and I'm supposed to have a rest
Mm,
day, I physically
yes.
cannot rest. Like a rest day for me is still
Yes.
walking 3 miles because
Like
it's like
I'm tweaking because I
I'm
can't go to the
resting, I'm
gym.
resting my like I guess like the other muscles of my body. But
Yes.
if I rest, I feel that I'm like everything that I've done in the gym is like gone. Like
Yeah.
it's a wasted day and I have to start over. But that's obviously not the case. Like you're supposed to just like they say, like resting, if you rest, it gives your muscles time to recover. If
Right.
you rest your head, it gives you time for your brain to recover. And then because it is proven in studies that if you go like sleep deprived and then go do work, you are not gonna do it like you
Mhm.
would if you slept properly, prepared. Just like if you were taking a test and you didn't sleep properly, you didn't eat properly, you're probably not gonna do as well in the test as if you did sleep properly and did eat properly. So that's like how I feel like people that have productivity guilt feel like.
And I can get with the burning out thing. I feel like, as at least for me, I feel like the more we go into like college, I feel like the more and more I'm becoming very like I wouldn't say less productive, but I'm getting more tired. I'm just
You're looking
I'm
back
just
and you're just like,
exhausted. I just need like to just detach from everything. That's why I'm looking forward to spring break because I just like I need a
yes.
break from everything, bro.
You
Like
look back at your high school version and you're like, that was me?
yeah, it's like
Like what
how
happened to
did I
Yeah.
do
her?
all that then? And now it's just even hard to even get up and go to class.
Well, actually, I kind of disagree with you. For me, I
You
feel
got
like
better?
no, I feel like yeah, I feel like I'm well better. I feel like I'm more
You've
productive
grown.
in college
Mm-hmm.
and I'm doing more stuff in college, but that's because I feel more productivity guilt now than I did then because when in high
Mhm.
school, you had teachers, you had your parents, they were like, do this, make sure you're doing this. They were comparing the people for you.
The thing is, for
And they
me,
were,
my parents are very like, you do your own journey. Like
yeah.
they never were
So,
on me about that, and I felt like itself. Then I was like, I need to do this. Like my journey was planned by myself. But it's like even now, like n it's just like it's just getting tiring, you know?
well, my parents,
You're
when
experiencing burnout.
Yeah, I am. I 100% am. Like I just need a like break from everything. I just like that's what I'm saying. This week is so hard. I had two exams, two big exams. And all I've been doing is like working so hard and I don't even get a break. I have to go back and do it again. Like I have two more exams next week and it's next week, but it's like you need to start now.
Right.
yeah. Well, yeah, like I was saying, I think my parents were not like helicopter parents, but when it comes to academics and school, they were on my head. Like they were like doing everything for me. When I mean for me, I mean like now I compare myself to like other people. But in high school, my parents would. My parents would say, "Oh, this person is doing this, you need to do this." So technically in my head, all my job was is to do that. But I
Yeah.
didn't actually have to think to compare myself and then do that. But now, since there's no one, like teachers don't care here. Like they don't
They
Mhm.
care
don't.
what you do. They don't care if you don't even come to class. They don't care if you fail. They're not gonna text you and be like, "Hey, you're failing." Like
Yeah.
they don't care. Your parents don't know what you're doing in college. They don't live with you. Like all this stuff. So I think I'm overcompensating for the fact that no one else is comparing me. So then it's like I need to do more because like when do I stop?
And
Like when do I stop
I
doing
feel like
that?
you are. I feel like you're doing gym, you're like journaling, waking up early. Like this is stuff you would never do in high school.
Yeah, that's like what I was saying. I'm overcompensating because I feel the need to compare myself more or do more
Mhm.
to prove that like I can do stuff, if that makes
Do you feel like
sense.
you've changed
On that
in
note.
But
positive
on
for you?
Shivani's note of the burnout
I'm
thing,
just so mentally
one
exhausted.
thing I will say is I never actually let my mind believe that I'm burnt out.
That's good.
Like,
Don't.
no, like it's
That's
bad.
No,
Like
it's
I keep like
I
having
feel
People
that
say it's
productivity
bad, you
guilt.
say it's
I feel
good.
like
Why?
you need to address it at one point because like I was just like that. I was like on top of it, like very like and I still am. It's just like I'm acknowledging that I am just so mentally exhausted. Like talking about this is making me like sad. It's like I'm so mentally exhausted like right now and just like it's just like I just need to like detach from everything. Thanks.
Yeah, that's why, well, I say it's bad because
It's
if you don't acknowledge
it's
that, you're never gonna
relatable. I'm
take a
so
break.
sorry. No, because
He
there's
was going through
there's
it.
this funny reel that I saw on
Bruh.
Instagram.
Bro,
Like this was no, because it's
not
like this.
Shivani like tearing up and you're like, there's this funny reel that I saw. It's like my funny story last time.
But
That
like
wasn't funny.
I remember this from I saw this probably like a year ago, but I still remember it because it resonated with me so much, and it talks about
Yeah.
what you just discussed. But it's like there's this person sitting bundled up in this blanket, and then it's like this present version of them yelling at their present version of them about their past, saying like, Tony Stark built this in a cave with a box of scraps. And it's talking about their high school self, where it's like, you did X, Y, and Z, and now you can't get out of bed. What are you doing?
You're so right. And I don't know why it's like that. And I don't know if I'm supposed to like go and take time for myself.
Yes, that's what you're supposed to do, Sean.
But we're making a good time, babe.
Talk. Neither can I.
No, okay.
I'm waiting for break to hit, and I know once I refresh and recover, I'm coming back there.
Me, bro, is even during break I have things planned.
Yeah,
Like I can't have their break.
It's like there's no break. It's just like, and I do feel
I literally cannot get a break.
I emailed my old coach about doing a volunteer like shift all throughout spring break, and then he just sent a little message for the end saying, make sure you're taking care of yourself. I didn't respond. I was too tired to respond.
No, like, that's what I mean. Like,
hey, bestie.
The thing is, like, I know what to do if I was like burnt out, right? But I don't ever believe I'm burnt out. No, it's not good.
It's good. It's good.
Not
Okay.
good.
So, two things. One, if you know what to do when you're burnt out, please answer the question for the audience.
She's not acknowledging that she's burnt out.
But like, if
she doesn't know.
You did acknowledge.
Okay, well,
what would you do?
Okay, if you're actually burnt out, what I would do if I acknowledged that I was burnt out, I would take time for myself, like clear my head.
Take a break if I believed in that.
If I actually believed I was burnt out, I would fully like close whatever I was doing, like any kind of academic work, anything. Because to me, academics brings me the most stress.
Yeah.
Right? Because I feel the most productivity guilt when it comes to academics or when it comes to careers or something like that, right? But anything else like making food, eating, gym, like this stuff doesn't bring me stress. It doesn't bring me productivity guilt. So what I would do is I would one, put everything aside, maybe, and I would honestly like not even talk to anyone yet. I would just first take some me time, maybe have a little spa day, maybe read a book, journal, take a walk, like anything to clear my mind.
I talk to myself.
Edit this podcast, like anything that doesn't
like do something else.
Anything that doesn't cause me more stress or make me stressed, like just stop doing whatever was making me feel stressed.
And that's the same for me. I feel like I'll watch TV and like I'll go maybe
the thing with me is that I think that TV brings me stress because I feel like I'm not doing anything if I'm watching TV.
But at a point where you're at like your breaking point, it's like the only thing that's gonna give me joy. So I'm like, I need to go do something else. Like I really need to go do something. Or like I'll drive around. Honestly, I'll go get food or something.
For me, I think the thing that brings me joy is when I'm doing something productive that's still
bringing you joy.
Yes.
It's your passion.
Yeah.
It's your purpose.
Literally, I would much like I've never ever regretted like going on a walk if I'm stressed, but I have regretted watching TV when I'm stressed.
So that's not your like
because to me
your comfort.
Yeah, because to me, like going on a walk is something that's productive because I'm doing it for myself.
Well, a point that I want to bring up though is that we're all of a certain demographic. We're young. So if we were to burn out and take those actions, we have the privilege of doing so. When you are a mom of 3 and you can't just take a break. You can't just be like, oh, I'm just not gonna talk to anybody today. I'm gonna just shut down a little bit and I'm gonna just set some stuff aside, maybe take a spa day. No, you got kids to feed, you got a job to go to because you got a
single
pay to.
Well, I think
you learned this from your Instagram
never stops.
No, you can't. You can't ever stop.
I listen to country. I'm cultured.
Oh,
no, I got this from Instagram.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. I was about to say. I was like, look, you know the song.
Do I look?
I think that all comes.
No offense to those that listen to country. I've actually listened to really good country music. Zach Bryan? Somebody put me on Zach Bryan.
No, I don't like him anymore.
Anymore? What happened?
I didn't like him before either. I'm not a country girl.
Okay, you can't say anymore and then say I never liked him in the first place. We're getting off topic. So,
I was saying that I think that people need to keep in mind that this burnout could happen and planned for it to happen.
But
Does that make sense?
You can't just plan for burnout.
No, I mean like
So I'm gonna just put
It's like a
burnout
burnout
in my
account.
account. So Friday 3 to 5, cry in the
no,
shower.
not like that, not like that, not like that.
My burnout coping mechanism is crying.
No.
Crying is
Crying.
so nice, bro.
No, I think that people can take measures to prevent burnout.
That is
Yeah, that's true. 100%.
Like you
true.
can take
But where
if
do you
you're
get the time to
if
prevent the
you're
measure?
that is what I'm
It's
talking
called
about.
hobbies.
No, but
really?
that's like a learned behavior. You need to learn to take that type of stuff. You need to learn to, I don't know, if you're free on Sundays. I literally don't do it either. Like this is I
You
need
have
to do
hobbies.
this.
You gym, you journal. You have like other
I
activities.
know, but it's not that. It's like
Said it's not that.
it's not that. It's
You
just
have hobbies.
it's just that
No.
You work out. You write your feelings down. Those are hobbies.
no, it's not that. Like yes, I do have hobbies.
Is when you paint a picture of a pretty flower and then you hang that stuff up. A hobby is when you try out a new recipe of cupcakes. Hobby is not
what
when you
happens
go
if you-
take your daily walk because you need to. Okay?
Yes. I think okay.
I have
One
hobbies.
thing
I
I will
take
say.
multivitamins. Like that's what it's giving.
One thing I will say is I do think that I have gotten better over this last semester at managing my time and
Yeah.
understanding like that I do need that like self-care is important and
Yeah.
mental health is important. I need to take time to do that. But I still have never ever in my life acknowledged a burnout. Like I cannot even say that I've had a burnout because I don't believe that I've ever had one.
That's good.
Which is
You'll
not
know.
No, that
You'll
is
know
good.
when
Like,
you hit a
trust me,
burnout.
you're
You'll
probably not. Yeah,
know.
you'll know.
But
You're at a
You
point where it's
take-
like exhausting to do anything. You're just like,
I know,
I
but
feel
I
like
don't ever
You didn't peak. You're still reaching-
rising.
Like you know,
And
like
once
those.
you peak, you're
Well,
falling down.
No, I
Well,
think
some
I
people.
did. I think I
You-
did.
Confirmed.
No,
I-
but I was just gonna say, like, you know that phrase, "Oh, she peaked in high school. He peaked in high school." I feel like I peaked in high school a little bit, and I'm just trying to work my way back.
Bruh,
But like,
with you, bruh.
No, I think I peaked in high school too, but I never got a
but you're
chance to.
still growing. You
Okay,
said that
you
yourself.
said you said you just haven't experienced. You haven't.
You
You
are
don't
on
know
your
what it
path,
is,
and you're still going
and
up.
you know.
No,
when-
I mean, like you know, around the time when we were taking like our SATs and stuff.
Bro, that was not a good time. Let's not talk about
That time.
That was
Give me
just a
peace.
sad time.
That's a-
Yeah,
Let's
I
not do
had
that,
PTSD.
SAT, right?
And remember, that's what I was telling you that I was also going through mental health issues.
Right.
So that was my point of burnout, but I never ever accepted that I was going through a burnout. I was
just
like,
go through the DSM-5.
I still have stuff to do.
Like SAT is like one of the causes for depression.
no, not SAT. I'm talking about the time that we were taking
Okay, yeah.
SATs, like around like 11th grade is when, like 10th, 11th grade was when I was experiencing
Yeah.
like the biggest like burnout of my life.
So,
But I can't even like come and say it because I feel like, no, like I can't even acknowledge that it was a burnout. Like I should have done other stuff during the time. Like you mean like every single time that I was free, I should have done something else. I wasn't burnt out because I wasn't using my hours to their max. Like that's how I think about it in my head. So even when I'm burnt out, I'm like, no, I'm not, because I'm not actually doing anything on this hour of the day.
You monetize the intangible.
Yeah.
Time. But on a completely different topic of what can cause productivity guilt is imposter syndrome. So for some members of the audience,
what
because we
is
have
impo-
so many.
At first, like, I was like, wait, what?
I was like, what?
Wait, what?
No, but for some members of the audience that might not know what imposter syndrome is, don't laugh when I say audience. Anyway, according to McLeanHospital.org, there's an article written on imposter syndrome where people experience repeated feelings or thoughts that they are incompetent or not good enough despite evidence of the contrary. That's exactly what the article states. And to go deeper into the history of it, it was explored by researchers, two women, shocker, that discovered imposter or coined imposter syndrome. Pauline Rose Clance and Susan Ammon Imes in 1978. So they did a study where they went to 150 women that work professionally, and they were recognized for their academic excellence within their fields. And they discovered that despite success or praise from others, these women continued to believe that they were not good enough, they're not bright, and that they achieved their success just from dumb luck. and that they manage to fake it till they make it, and that they fooled everyone into thinking that they're intelligent and that they're capable, even though there is actual evidence and awards that prove they are worthy of being recognized. So, keeping that in mind, do you think, well, as three women sitting here today, and the fact that this was discovered by women, the study done by 150 women, do you think that as women, we are more likely to experience imposter syndrome, and as a result, productivity guilt, and why?
Me.
And in your answer, I want you to keep in mind or think to yourself, who in your family, you don't have a brother, but you do.
She has a brother.
Oh, you have a brother?
He doesn't feel
I
about.
was gonna say, I know
You
you're.
were a single child this whole time.
We both
Wait,
we
someone
all have
else
younger
thought that,
brothers.
bruh.
We all okay, so we
Do
all
I
have.
give only child vibes?
No, I don't
I
think
thought
she
it
does.
gives like sibling, like some
Okay,
sibling.
I had just like you just never mentioned your siblings. I had no clue.
No, you give younger brother vibes.
Okay, thank you. Thanks.
Oh,
Screw you.
you know what? You're canceled. You're done.
Huh?
So this is her last episode on the
Oh,
show,
I'm
y'all.
done.
Even though I have no control over that, but
Anyway,
so you're the editor. But anyway, keep in mind you whether or not you think that you or your little brother might have more productivity guilt.
me.
Okay, well, I don't like. Are you asking like, do you think that females have?
I think females. Okay, so I'm asking you. Do you think?
Do
I
I?
do think that females are more likely to have imposter syndrome. Do you
I
think
don't
that's the
agree.
case?
No.
You don't
No,
agree.
I don't agree.
No, I also
Okay.
don't agree with that because what Deeksha said, I do agree with. Like,
I don't think.
I'm proud of my accomplishments, but I'm like, okay, like I can do better. Like, let me do more, you know?
I
But I'm
don't
also
think it has anything
acknowledging.
to do with females and males, like, or how our brain works. I think
Really?
that it's
Well, I don't think it's how the brain works. I think it's how society imposes certain expectations on us.
yeah. I definitely don't think that it's like females are more likely. Think
We see. Okay, you don't think that females are more likely to have imposter syndrome than males?
yes.
I thought it
Elaborate.
would be the opposite, actually.
No, I think it's very, very like the same because I know so many guys that are like that. I don't know people, I don't only know girls.
I'm
She's
Googling
like
this right
searching
now.
I know a lot of guys that are like that too.
Among Us. Who's
The reason why I think guys are more likely to have it than females is just because I'm not saying like like I don't want to be like the stereotype a lot of families and a lot of people impose on women. I'm not saying my family does that. I'm sure your families do not do that.
brother?
But you know what I'm trying to say? Like a lot of men are like supposed to be I guess the what is the thing? What do you call it? Like the supporter of the family, like
The provider.
the provider of the family. You have to take care of the family. Like even when your wife can't work, it's like you have to be the one supporting. And it's like felt like that would be a reason why a lot of them would be like, I need to get a good job. I need to get good internships. Like I need to be successful in life
Go
to
back
provide.
to the single mom narrative. Or
But
go
yeah,
back
yeah.
to the fact that we now live in households with two providers.
Now it's like different, but I feel like at that time, I feel like it was more like
Think
men
about
are.
today.
Well, I still think that it
Yeah.
is very, very equal. I know, like, you obviously searched it
I
up.
just searched it
women
up,
and
are
you
we're
got
gonna go
women.
into why I am correct and y'all are incorrect, and I'm about to shut y'all down. No,
So, yes,
this is
like,
your opinion.
right.
This is based on your experiences. Share
right.
them.
I think that, like you said, like, the answer is women, but I also think that maybe it could be, like, on a global level, like, it could be, yes, it's women, but it, it could be very, very close. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like, oh, women are like 0.2 times more likely to 0.2% more likely to experience this than men. But my thing is that, like Shivani said, yes, there are a lot of changes in society now, but I think a lot of people still do think or view men as being the provider, even though they're working. Because for me, I support like women working, women getting
Yeah,
paid the
that's
same,
not
like
what
all
we're
this
trying to
stuff. That's
say.
not what I'm trying to say. But in my head, when I want to marry a guy or when I want to have a husband, in my head, I want to be like, okay, like for example, if I was to quit my job, this man can provide for me. And so the opposite too. Like if he was to quit his job, I can provide for him. But so I think that a lot of people, well, I don't know about a lot, but the people that I'm friends with that I know do think like how I'm thinking. So when you're using that as like reference, I think that it's very, very even.
So let me explain to you why Google says you're wrong. No.
Wait, this
Let me explain to you
So-
why ChatGPT says that I'm wrong.
No, but according to Psychology Today and a KPMG study that was found, 75% of female executives have experienced imposter syndrome. Women are more likely to experience imposter syndrome than men, though it can affect all genders. So you guys are right, obviously, in the sense where yes, this can affect men. Yes, men do and feel imposter syndrome. However, imposter syndrome is when you feel as though you are inadequate, even though you are adequate. So with a man, when they have a job, when they are providing for their family, that is physical confirmation where it's like, do you have a roof over your head? Do you have clothes on your back? Do you have food on your plate? Yes. Then I am competent at my job. So you're not going to feel like an imposter because it's so obvious that I am not. You have everything that you need. But with a woman in today's society, you are working. So you're going into a field where you are paid less for the same job. That's
so crazy. Like
that's one thing. Another thing is when you talk, you're more likely to be interrupted, which means other people don't value your opinion. If that's the precedent, how's that going to affect you valuing your own opinion? That's another factor.
So you have to
The
keep
way
like
that you have
working
to,
on.
yes. And then this is not only just within women, but also minority cultures, because you have to work 10 times harder to prove that you are worthy of respect rather than just having respect for the fact that you are capable of this. People don't just automatically believe that you are capable of something. You have to prove it over and over and over again. And even then, people still don't think that you're competent. So, how are you going to think that you are competent? And that is why more women, or honestly, probably people of minority cultures or communities, feel imposter syndrome. And going on to,
Well, can I elaborate on that?
yeah, go ahead.
So what I was saying is yes, I do completely agree with what you're saying. I don't really think about it when until you said it like that. But I also, like you said, a guy's success can be seen when their like families are like whatever, like have close, like whatever, everything you said. I still think that guys, I'm not saying Google's wrong. I'm not saying everything that
No,
every scientific study is wrong,
this
but
is your experience.
I think that every single like male that I've ever, I don't want to say talk to, every single male that I know that I'm friends with or in my family, none of them think like that. They're also always, how can I be better? How can I get a higher paying job? How can I provide more? How can I get more luxuries? They never
Is
settling.
it because you're surrounded by those people? Like you're just surrounded by people like-minded, like
That's what I'm
Let
saying.
me
It could
ask
be
you
like that.
this. Are
because I agree with
they
you too. Like I feel like I'm not surrounded by people who aren't thinking like in that
Like I'm not
sense.
I'm when I said
No,
when
you're good.
I'm telling you I am not surrounded by a single person that does not
Work.
not feel like they're an imposter.
Okay. Because that kind of answers my question. Because I'm wondering, are they reaching for higher heights because of the pursuit of growth, or are they reaching higher levels because
Because the
they think
people
they're
around
not
them.
doing enough?
Yeah, that's why.
So are they doing it because of the people around them and they're comparing themselves and
Mhm.
they think they're not doing enough? They feel
Yeah.
like they're an imposter. Okay.
Like everything that I talk about how I feel, that is how every single person around me feels, even though they may not seem like it.
Yeah.
Got
And I
you.
think that honestly, that's probably why I'm friends with them.
But I guess looking at it
Like you're
from
attracted to,
People who are like-minded like you.
yeah.
when you're looking at it from your crowds, because you both actually run in the same crowd. So
We run in the same circles.
you guys have the same friend circles.
Yeah.
Your experience is valuable and it needs to be shared. I come from a different one. And looking at it from a broader perspective, more women are likely to experience it because of the reasons that I already listed.
I actually did not think about it like that.
Yeah, me either,
And
honestly, until you said
You're
it. I was
so
like, yeah,
right.
you're right,
Yeah.
actually.
Like, I'm
but
thinking like CEO, like movies I've seen, like they've never like
It's harder for a
it's so
girl.
hard to get that respect
It's
they earn.
it's
like,
depicted
they
in Hollywood.
deserve.
Think of the movie Hidden Figures.
Yeah.
Like women have to do more to achieve the same success as a man.
Yeah. And then again, going back to the same, like imagine if you are an African American female.
Yeah.
How is that going to affect your career trajectory? And here's an example, I guess a more elementary example. Imagine you are sitting in a science class and you have an A in the class, and now there's a group project or a lab, and you're trying to get
I'm
through
like
it.
chugging water during this podcast. It looks so funny. But continue.
No, because it's important to hydrate yourself.
Yeah.
So you don't
Guys, I
burn
actually
out.
drink a gallon of water a day.
Yes.
I feel imposter syndrome if I don't.
From drinking water, I'm good.
Uh,
Now I'm feeling
continue.
imposter
no,
syndrome.
I don't feel like an imposter. I just am. I am an imposter. I don't drink enough water in the day. But on a different note, like if you are in that like science class as an example and you are going through that group project, do you constantly feel like you are dumb compared to everyone else and that you just don't, if you don't get one thing?
Yes.
Yeah. My
Always.
bio
But
group, I
like
can talk about that.
what's your grade in the class?
I have an A.
You have an A.
But that's only because our bio too teacher does it kind of differently. Like our exams are, I would say, a little easier than compared to other bio classes, and we have group exams. But in my group, they just know everything, and I'm just like,
Well,
oh, like I didn't.
You know another thing?
Yeah.
Like Shmoney said? You know how an A is considered 93 and above?
Here,
I
at least.
care about the grade.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the person next to me has a 99 and I still have a 94.
Yeah, you want.
I feel dumber.
Yeah, you're like.
But it's like you're still ending with an A. You're
Right.
still gonna end with a 4.0, like everything's gonna be fine, but I'm not good enough.
Joy.
Ugh,
But
like I don't know how to
like,
we think we all deal with that. I don't know how
I'm gonna deal with that. An A is an
overcome
A.
with
I'm
that.
gonna walk out with an A. Guys.
No, I don't mean that. I mean like comparing.
Oh yeah.
I also think like everyone deals with that at some level.
It
I don't know if
depends.
there's a perfect person that cannot ever compare themselves to anyone.
Depends, but you're probably right. Because it's like as humans, I guess it's within human nature to see what's happening around you and to make sure that like some level of self-interest or self-preservation, um, and by doing so, you involves comparison.
Which is a good thing and a bad thing. Like it makes us
You need a balance.
human because you don't see like dogs comparing themselves. You know what I mean? But it makes us human and it makes us more productive. It's gotten us this far.
On the
But it can also be a bad thing.
Can also be a bad thing. But on the whole like science project note or like a lab, what I've noticed is that if I'm working with a male,
Yeah.
if they don't get something, they're like, okay.
They
They don't care. Because when I was in chemistry, for
Yeah.
example, I had an all male group because it was over the summer. So I guess more guys take it, or I don't know. But like I had an all guy group and they all kind of just assumed that I was incompetent. I feel like there was like yes, like there was this looming precedence, and then when I proved that I knew what I was doing, they would have me and the other guy that knew what he was doing
Do it.
work together and do everything. And then the other guy did not care at all. Like he was watching football and soccer the entire time, both times. And the TA did not care. He, in fact, asked him what the score was.
That's crazy.
So that's with a guy's perspective. With a female, also in a science lab, this was for biology, and if I did something, like if I wrote down a response and they didn't understand the concept, they would be, instead of just asking me how I ended up with that conclusion, first, they would be extremely apologetic for being incompetent. You're not incompetent. You didn't learn this yet. You didn't study this yet. This topic is first being introduced to you. It's reasonable for you not to know what the answer is. They're making an active effort and they feel inside that they are too stupid to be here. So, in my experience, I feel as though females have more of an imposter syndrome. And on that note, in that example, that female still answered so many of the like next questions and the previous questions, and they were still being helpful. Oh, but because they didn't know that one question, all of a sudden they don't know anything about this topic and then they should just quit. That's not the case.
Okay, like you were saying, I think in my experience, one thing is I don't think my 20 years of me living here, like on Earth, I have
Here,
You're not 20
the
yet.
planet.
okay, like
You're
19,
9.
19
You're still a
and
baby.
yeah, how many more days do I have? Like a month left.
Yeah, like a month.
19 and 11 months, like on this earth right now. I don't think
Appreciate the accuracy.
I don't think I have ever experienced feeling the need to prove to someone because I'm a woman. Does that make sense?
Well, it's not necessarily because you're a woman. It's something that's subconscious. So in the lab example, I just happened to notice that there
That
is a
they
gender
right,
difference.
but
Like they didn't
I
keep
don't
it.
think
I don't see it as I don't feel the gender difference, but
yeah,
I do feel the race difference sometimes.
yes, that's what I
They
mean.
look at
I
you
do I
differently when you're
do
an Indian. They think you know it
yes.
all. So they're like, "Oh, you got it."
Well, not just
That's
like
like
that.
reverse imposter syndrome.
I do think I do agree with
Well,
Shivani.
actually, I disagree, but
I do
with what I just said, you are correct.
I agree
Yeah.
with Shivani on I don't think that I've ever felt the gender stereotype.
Yeah.
I felt like
Yeah, I do know it exists. Like it's not, don't get me wrong, I know it exists. I just have never experienced it. I've never experienced it yet. I mean, one thing I'll say, sometimes my parents will be like, "Oh, you can't lift it because like it'll be like physical stuff, but I don't really care about that. So like, I don't count that because yeah, my brother's bigger than me.
Yeah, you can't.
He probably can. Like I'm not, you
It's
know,
not imposter syndrome, it's just fact. Like
exactly. But I have never ever felt like I need to prove to someone because I'm a woman. If anything, I've only ever felt that way because of because of my race.
You
My
yes, I
race.
agree with
race.
you.
And coming down to your point with the guys and the girls in your lab group and how the guys like just kind of want the answer and don't really. I've also never experienced that.
Really?
Like, never experienced it to the fact that I'm noticing only guys do it. I had a lab partner, and the guy was smarter than me. And
Oh.
that, I mean, there was a guy that kind of didn't really do anything, but he acted the same as the girl that
No,
couldn't
but
really do
it's not
anything.
just like even if the
Yeah.
guy is smarter than me, he in my experience, like this is not all guys are like this.
And also,
In some
honestly, it could be our mind exaggerating things too. Like, I do notice sometimes that I do make things worse
Well,
in my head.
okay, that's true. I'll I'm not calling you out for that as well. I feel like a lot of people go through this where they think in their head that the situation's worse than it actually is, and then when they actually look at it from a
It's
real
not that bad.
perspective, it's not that bad.
Which so I'm saying like your mind works in both ways. It can make things look worse that aren't worse, but it can also make things look not that bad that are bad.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay, so also in my experience, feeding into imposter syndrome, if there's a girl that is smarter than me, because I'm not the smartest person in the room, not even close, and I will be the first person to admit that.
In this
Okay, maybe not
in this
Guys, I'm joining. I'm also joining.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Nah, but when you're looking at it from again a lab perspective, where if there's a girl smarter than me, she will take the time to explain her steps and tell me why she came to that conclusion. If it was a guy, he would just move on to the next question
Mm-hmm.
and then expect me to figure it out on my own, even though I asked him, and then just like give me the answer at the end.
Oh,
Instead
No,
wow.
of
yeah,
just
that's what I'm trying to say. I don't think I've experienced that
Me neither.
like as a gender thing.
But I'm also like
I
not
have
and this
asking
is
to
I have
explain it either.
I
and
have experienced both. Like I experienced what you said. I
yeah,
have experienced that. But it's never been like
I'm
guys do
not
this more than
saying
girls.
okay, because
It's been
I'm
very,
not saying
very the
like
same.
every guy is like that. I
No,
know
yeah,
a
I know,
lot
I know.
of guys that have actually like sat down and taken the time to explain to me. A lot of good friends of mine are like, okay, let's take this step by step. I have all the love and appreciation for them. I would not pass physics if it wasn't for them.
Yeah.
So shout out. But um
No, I do agree
I
with what
just
you're saying.
I see there's a pattern. That's just me personally.
Yeah. I'm just saying in my experience, I haven't seen that, which brings me back to my previous point about how I didn't agree with not agree, but how I didn't think that women are more likely to experience imposter syndrome because I've never experienced one gender doing something that the other isn't.
It also depends on the crowd that you run with. So, for example, if you were to ask another woman that same question and they're constantly being surrounded by other women that are competitive and they're like, that whole concept of women comparing other women, and it's like, not a girl's girl,
Yeah.
essentially. If you were to ask that person, they might have a different response versus what I just said. So it all, like I keep saying to you, like I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not saying you're wrong.
We're just talking about our
You're
experiences.
just talking about your experience, and I'm talking about mine.
Yeah.
We're not trying to generalize. This is just what we've
What we
found.
feel, we think, what we experience.
And you sounds like you've experienced more similarly to what she has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to wrap it up, we are going to be revealing a part 2.
So yeah, we have a lot to talk about in this episode that we didn't really get to because we underestimated how much time it would take. But stay tuned for part 2 where we will finish this episode up and we'll see you next week for episode 7. Bye guys.